Good morning and welcome to New Hanover County Schools The Morning Show.
The area's most entertaining, educational, and informative way to start your daily routine.
I'm Rachel Glue.
And I'm Haley Connor.
This is the week of December 16th through December 21st, and today on our show we take a look at stress and offer tips to avoiding and relieving stress.
Anything that poses a challenge or threat to our well-being is a stress. Stress is simply a reaction to a stimulus that disturbs our physical or mental equilibrium. In other words, it's part of life.
While some stress is good for you and can keep life from becoming boring, some stress can be bad when it undermines mental and physical health. It's important to acknowledge bad stress and not let it overwhelm you, and we have several helpful tips.
And since the holidays are known to be a most stressful time to many people, later in the show we will cover tips on how to prevent holiday stress.
Along with all of our helpful stress tips, today's show is also packed with many of our features on animals.
That's right, we have America's most wildest places where we stop for a visit at the Missisquoi Refuge in Vermont.
And in our endangered animals segment, we learn about the manatee and what efforts are taking place to save them from extinction.
Plus, we have another excellent edition of Noteworthy and a brand new episode of The Zoo Files.
We have a great show today, and now here's Emily Coulter, who is standing by with your first look at your school news headlines. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, Rachel and Haley, and welcome everyone to your school news here on The Morning Show. Topping the headlines this week, school system and chamber partner in first annual Walk in My Shoes program, 19th annual sidewalk chalk art event held at Mayfair, and Roland Gray students face off in mathematical Hunger Games. I will have all those stories and more coming up later in the show.
Thanks, Emily. We look forward to those stories.
Our first stress tip of the day will sound simple to many, but yet can be harder to actually do, and that is to simply disconnect.
One of the simplest ways to restore a little serenity in the midst of a hectic week is to turn off the phone, unplug your landline, and after dinner too. You'd be surprised how simply turning off the ringer can bring instant calm.
And while you are basking in calm with the outside world calling in, take part in our next tip. Keep a humor journal.
A humor journal can contain anything that's funny to you. A joke you heard, something silly a friend said, a humorous event. It's hard to remember all the good times and little laughs, so write them down so you won't have to. And whenever you're feeling a little stressed, read through your journal and it's sure to cheer you up.
Here's another neat tip. Lose the alarm. The alarm clock can be very stressful. A lot of us wake up and calculate how many more hours of sleep we have, or we wake up a bit too early and dread the sound we know is coming. So lose the alarm. If you have to use one, get the kind that plays soothing nature sounds or music.
We'll have plenty of more wonderful tips throughout the show, but it's time for our first segment of the day, This Week in History.
Our Grand Master of Historical Knowledge has all the headlines from past times in This Week in History, which is brought to you by Kidsville News. Welcome to This Week in History. I am your historical host, Hannah Bolick, covering all of the colorful and amazing events that have left their mark on history's timeline. This is the week of December 16th through the 22nd. December 16th, 1773. On this day, a group of Massachusetts colonists disguised as Mohawk Indians boarded 3 British ships and dumped 342 chests of tea into the harbor. This is known as the Boston Tea Party. December 17th, 1903, near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, Orville and Wilbur Wright make the first successful flight in history of a self-propelled, heavier-than-air aircraft. Orville piloted the gasoline-powered, propeller-driven biplane, which stayed aloft for 12 seconds and covered 120 feet on its inaugural flight. In 1908, they traveled to France and made their first public flights, arousing widespread public excitement. On December 18, 1946, Steven Spielberg, who will become one of the most successful directors in modern movie history, is born in Cincinnati. He directed many blockbusters including Jaws, E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Schindler's List, and Saving Private Ryan. December 19, 1986, Michael Sergio, who parachuted into Game 6 of the 1986 World Series at New York's Shea Stadium, is fined $500 and sentenced to 100 hours of community service. The previous October, he landed on the infield with a "Let's Go Mets" banner in the first inning of the 6th game between the Mets and the Boston Red Sox. December 20th, 1987, a passenger ferry collides with an oil tanker near Manila in the Philippines, leaving 4,000 people dead. The ferry was severely overcrowded, carrying more than twice its stated capacity, and nearly killed everyone on board. It was twice as deadly as the Titanic disaster and the worst maritime tragedy in history. Finally, your weekend history tidbits. December 21st, 1946, an undersea earthquake sets off a powerful tsunami that devastates Honshu, Japan. About 2,000 people died and 500,000 were left homeless. When the tsunami hit Honshu, 20-foot waves obliterated buildings from shorelines and about 2,000 ships were capsized as they were thrown around by the massive water. On December 22nd, 1939, 2 express trains collide in Magdeburg, Germany, killing more than 100 people. Occurring at the outset of World War II, the accident was probably a result of the fact that the country's best rail engineers had been conscripted into the military. That's This Week in History, your ultimate source for those key moments in time. I'm Hannah Bolick. Thanks for stopping by.
This Week in History is brought to you by Kidsville News, a fun and effective learning resource for children, teachers, and parents. It features school news, information, and local community events while promoting literacy and development for good reading habits, character traits, and study skills in young children. And the best of all, Kids News is always free. Copies are delivered every month to every elementary school in New Hanover County school system.
And join us again next time for another journey through time as we explore the fun, fascinating, entertaining, and educational facts that make up This Week in History.
Now don't go away, we'll be right back.
Each year, thousands are senselessly killed by people with no criminal record at all. People like you.
Everything moves fast in racing. But when we're thirsty and in a hurry, we don't cut corners on refueling. I'm Casey Kane, asking you to make healthy decisions. Pass on the sugary stuff. Refuel with water instead. You've got a choice. Rethink your drink. Eat smart, move more. North Carolina.
Welcome back to the Morning Show. I'm Rachel Glue. An exciting new addition to our morning show lineup this year is America's Wildest Places. Each month we take a visual and audio tour of one of America's national wildlife refuge brought to you by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. You'll learn about the plants and animals at each one, as well as what the different seasons of the year brings. Enjoy the sights and sounds of America's Wildest Places.
A slow, languid stream the Abenaki people call Missisquoi, the land of the flint. Tucked into the Green Mountain State's far northwestern corner, it is a crossroads of life for the animals and plants that make this place their home. It is Vermont's haven for wildlife. Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge protrudes into Lake Champlain and its smaller offshoot to the north, Missisquoi Bay. Its meandering creeks and sloughs, marshes and bogs, islands and channels form a complex and productive water-saturated network of lands. Water, geology, and topography have shaped Missisquoi and the life that finds haven here. As great continental ice sheets retreated northward, high elevation lakes ebbed and flowed in their wake. What remained were river deltas and sand gravel margins that produced a distinctive mosaic of plants found nowhere else in Vermont and in few other places in northern New England. The Missisquoi River now winds through beds of wild rice and lush stands of arrowhead, bulrush, and wild celery. Such morsels provide a tempting forage buffet for ducks, geese, and other marsh dwellers. Here at Missisquoi, you'll find one of Vermont's largest great blue heron rookeries, located on Shad Island, where as many as 600 nests erupt every summer with the cacophony of squawks and screeches that signify new life. Most of Vermont's black terns nest on the refuge, as do a large share of our state's ospreys, which are encouraged to come here by osprey nesting platforms. Every fall, 20,000 ring-necked ducks, goldeneyes, mallards, and black ducks converge at Missisquoi for feeding and resting while on their southward migration. Other birds you'll spot in seasonal abundance include bittern, bobolinks, killdeer, red-tailed hawks, and a profusion of noisy and demonstrative woodpeckers and songbirds. In their rarity, you might even spy a peregrine falcon, sedge wren, or bald eagle. Missisquoi's 900-acre woodland Maquam Bog shelters the Green Mountain State's only community of pitch pine, rhodora, and chain fern, a state-threatened species. In summer, you'll spot white-tailed deer and a variety of resident songbirds in this swampy lowland. Spiny soft-shelled turtles bask in the sun's rays on the nearby Missisquoi River. We recommend you begin your Missisquoi experience on foot, either early or late in the day when animals are most active, starting on our nearby 1-mile loop trail. It leaves our visitor center and winds through grass and shrublands, wetland forests, a buttonbush swamp, and mixed hardwoods of oak, birch, and sugar maple. Our Black Creek and Maquam Creek interpretive trails will take you through 1.5 miles of maple, gray birch, swamp white oak, and ash lowlands. If you're quiet and observant, you're sure to spot red fox, white-tailed deer, and colorful patches of native wildflowers along these trails. Deeper into the refuge, the 1-mile Max Bend Road and our Stephen J. Young Marsh and Old Railroad Passage Trail provide good wildlife windows for birds and marsh mammals. If you stay on the trails and move quietly, you'll be treated to so much more. Whether you enjoy Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge by land or water, in winter's chill or at summer's abundance, know that this land of the Flint, of the Abenaki, remains a place of transition, from mountains to the Great Lake Champlain. Touched by many cultures, ours to sustain for posterity, this haven for wildlife remains a special place for all who continue to pass this way. Welcome to Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge.
I have to tell you, Rachel, every time I see one of those segments, I'm amazed over the amount of wildlife there is and all the different places you can see throughout the country.
I know, it's quite impressive.
Yes, it is.
Now let's swing over to our news desk with Emily Coulter, who's standing by with our first look at your school news. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, and welcome to Your School News on the Morning Show. I'm Emily Coulter. New Hanover County Schools and the Wilmington Chamber Foundation invited more than 160 Wilmington community leaders to participate in the 2013 Walk in My Shoes program, and it's our top story this week. Walk in My Shoes is a new program held in conjunction with American Education Week and was designed to increase awareness about the successes and needs of the district schools from the first-hand interaction. We get this report on the event from YSN reporter Bobby Blue.
Roughly 30 schools across New Hanover County opened their doors to help community leaders from county government, local business, and higher education to learn directly what it takes to run and operate an area school. It was all part of New Hanover County Schools' first ever Walk in My Shoes program.
And by spending a day with a teacher or a principal in our schools, hopefully our folks can see how much progress we've made in education over the last several decades. Also, we have a bond issue coming up, and it's a chance for some of our folks to get into our schools and see what our schools actually look like and why we're asking for those things.
Walk in My Shoes is a new program developed by the Wilmington Chamber Foundation and New Hanover County Schools. This special event was held in conjunction with American Education Week and was designed to increase awareness about the successes and needs of our schools.
When you come to a school and walk in its classrooms and in its hallways, you learn about the character of the school and the positive things about the school. You also learn about the challenges and the real needs that each school has, and they're all unique to each school. And I was encouraged to hear how Dr. Sullivan is pursuing an international baccalaureate program here to give students some choices in their track of curriculum. And I was just completely blown away with the quality and the professionalism of this staff and this student body. This student body is tremendous, and they treated me with tremendous respect today, which they didn't have to do, but they're very well behaved and very focused, and that was impressive to me.
The 2013 Walk in My Shoes program served as an opportunity for community leaders to tour the schools and meet school district leaders, including teachers, principals, assistant principals, and central office staff. Those who participated from across the county learned firsthand about New Hanover County Schools' many outstanding points of pride, as well as saw the needs and challenges that schools face every day.
The thing that surprised me the most is really the campus itself. I had no idea that the campus is as large as it is. I have a grandson who goes to school here, so I have dropped him off many a day, but I've never really taken a tour of the campus to see all the outside spaces where the students can go at lunchtime and get out of the classroom, get out of the building, get outside and socialize with their friends. Was very pleasant and was a pleasant surprise.
A community thrives when its school system thrives. This event was an excellent opportunity for business leaders and local officials to visit classrooms to get a true picture of public education in action. Students benefited when business leaders took time to share their knowledge and resources. The collective efforts of parents, teachers, principals, school administrators, and business and community leaders prove that public education does work. Reporting for Your School News, this is Bobby Blue.
4 New Hanover County Schools middle school students were selected out of over 900 other middle school singers in North Carolina to perform in the North Carolina Music Educators Association's 2013 Middle School Honors Chorus. The students are Caitlin Kuppenhaver, Brianna Cullenlife, and Nathan Kinsley from Murray, and Parker Tanner from Myrtle Grove. These distinguished singers traveled to Winston-Salem this month for the concert in the Stevens Center for the Performing Arts. The clinician at this year's Middle School Honors Chorus was Dr. Alfred Sturgis, the North Carolina General Assembly Chorus Artistic Director. Congratulations to these students. The Hunger Games book series has swept across the nation with a fury. The various scenarios laid out in the books have a variety of mathematical connections with middle school math. Lessons across the world of Panem with theoretical probability and logical reasoning. Math teachers at Roland Grice learned about the unique connection to math and held a mathematical Hunger Games of their own.
And I decided to turn it into an integrated unit where the students had to research the different districts. We did a reaping, we chose tributes, and then we had a culminating activity today with the Hunger Games where the students competed by answering math problems.
Students were asked to imagine their class as one of the 12 Panem districts. Each class held a reaping and selected 2 classmates to compete in the Hunger Games. Prior to the selecting process, students had to calculate the probability of being selected. During the game, the contestants were faced with various math problems until only one was left standing. Literature and math came together and engaged students in logical thought and reflection and helped them become more mathematically proficient. For all of the latest news on New Hanover County Schools, join us weekdays at 5:30 p.m. here on Time Warner Cable Channel 5 and Charter Cable Channel 12 for your school news. A complete half hour of all the latest news and information from New Hanover County Schools. Now, back to our hosts.
Thanks, Emily. In addition to watching your school news and the morning show, you can see many of NHCS TV's programming online.
Just go to the school system's website at www.nhcs.net and click on the NHCS TV video library link under Items of Interest right there on the front page.
You can watch great programmings there like the Sports Roundtable, the Forum, and You Talk with Paige Turner.
It's an excellent way to watch our programming whenever you want.
It's also an excellent source of stress relief. Sit back and enjoy our fun, family-friendly programming.
Is that an official stress tip?
Since this is our stress relief show, I thought I'd throw that out.
Okay, that's good. Here's a couple of tips people can do to treat themselves to a little stress relief. First, spearmint oil. Dab some on your temples and the back of your neck. It's a cheap, easy treat that feels and smells wonderful. If you'd rather not be minty fresh, at least keep a candle and your favorite scent on hand for some effective aromatherapy.
Here's another easy one. Push the walls. Use this nifty little body trick to release some pent-up stress and stand about 3 feet from a wall, reaching out with both arms. Lean at an angle onto the wall and press with all your might. Keep your feet locked on the floor so that your Achilles tendons get really good stretched. The further you stretch and the harder you press, the more tension you will release from your hamstrings. And did you know hamstrings are one of the first muscles groups to store tendons?
I'll have to try that one out and see if it really works.
Hopefully it will make you stress-free.
Hopefully.
This year, the Thalian Association is celebrating its 225th year anniversary. Our noteworthy host, Abby Bowman, sat down with the association's artistic director to talk about its history, current season, and celebration events.
Welcome to Noteworthy. My name is Abby Bowman, and I am here with Mr. Tom Briggs, Artistic Director of the Thalian Association, which is celebrating its 225th anniversary this season. Thank you for joining me today, Mr. Briggs.
Oh, it's so much fun, Abby. I'm glad to be here.
So for those who don't know, what is the Thalian Association?
Well, Thalian Association is a theater company, a community theater, the official community theater of North Carolina. And we were founded in 1788. Which is actually a full year before North Carolina became a state. And the mission at that time was arts education and performance in the burgeoning city of Wilmington. And that's still very much our mission today, arts education and performance.
So what events have you had to celebrate this anniversary?
Well, we began in January with a big review at the Blockade Runner resort in Wrightsfield Beach, celebrating kicking off the 225th anniversary celebration. And then in May, we did another big event at the Mad Boar in Wallace. That was the same sort of thing. Doing a medley of our greatest hits, a lot of people coming back and doing big numbers from the shows they'd been involved in through the years. Our first show of the season, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, opened last month, and on the first Saturday we had a big reception in the ballroom at Thalian Hall to celebrate the 225th, and we received from the postmaster a wonderful postmark that you can get on your envelopes at the post office celebrating our 225th anniversary. So it's just kind of been going and going and going. In December, during the run of our premiere of the musical Willy Wonka at Thalian Hall, we'll be having a big reception with all of our past presidents. And so yeah, it's been a fun year.
So you guys have done a couple shows already, but what other shows do you have planned for the rest of the season?
Well, as I say, we just closed How to Succeed. Willy Wonka will run at Thalian Hall from December 12th through the 22nd. Then in February, we'll be doing Big River, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, 7-time Tony Award-winning musical. We're doing that for Black History Month. And then in March, we're doing John Steinbeck's classic of Mice and Men. And we're closing the season with the Leonard Bernstein musical from the Golden Age, Wonderful Town.
Oh, so you said that one of the main focuses of the Thalian Association was arts education, and that's always been a focus. How do you feel about arts in the schools and getting involved with that?
Well, do you know, it's a shame that arts in the schools isn't getting the funding that it used to get. You know, I don't have anything against sports or any of that, but you know, they'll cut math class before they'll cut the football team. And I think it's really a shame because, you know, study after study shows that kids who get involved in the arts do better in science, do better in math, do better in history, and it's just a shame that schools more and more aren't realizing the importance of arts and aren't funding them. So an organization like ours that offers arts education, we do that through our children's theater, TACT, with the TACT Academy, and also by producing 5 shows a year. Well, you know, Abby, you've been a part of TACT for a long time. And it's really kind of filling in the gap that's being left by the schools that just aren't funding the arts anymore, which is a real shame.
So if kids aren't really feeling like they're getting all the arts education through school, they can come and audition for TACT or for Thalian shows.
That's right, and join the TACT Academy, which provides classes in everything from singing and dancing, stage combat, drama, and it's really, as I say, filling a void that's being left in the educational system.
And how can the people watching at home get involved with the Thalian Association 225th anniversary celebration and the association in general?
By calling 251-1788. What camera am I on? 251-1788.
All right.
And we have lots of volunteers and we need them.
Once again, I'd like to thank my guest, Mr. Briggs. That's all for Noteworthy. Back to you.
Thanks, Abby. There are so many magnificent art events here in Wilmington, from the schools to the community groups like the Thalian Association.
I know, there's always something to do and a production to see.
It's part of what makes our area so great.
Now don't go away. This rip-roaring edition of the morning show will continue right after this break. But before we go, we have our trivia question of the day. Today, our trivia question is about stress.
Everyone deals with high levels of stress at some point or another. However, many people feel stress on a regular basis.
Our trivia question today asks, what % of people regularly experience physical symptoms caused by stress? A, 26%, B, 36%, C, 44%, or D, 77%?
We'll have the answer when we return.
You ever had? Only thing I'm guilty of is giving you too much love, making you crazy, making you red, making me fall, making me suspect. Seem to think I'm playing your game. Don't you know the hurt? This is me.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
Mom!
What?
You can't find Ichabod.
What?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
Welcome back to the morning show. Today's show is about stress and ways you can relieve it. Before the break, we asked our trivia question of the day, which was on stress.
Along with many psychological symptoms, stress has many physical symptoms. They include fatigue, headaches, muscle tension, upset stomach, teeth grinding, and inability to sleep.
Today, our trivia question asks, what % of people regularly experience physical symptoms caused by stress? A, 26%, B, 36%, C, 44%, or D, 77%? And the correct answer is D, 77%.
There are many different causes of stress in people's lives, but the top 5 are as followed. Number 1, job pressure. This includes tension with coworkers, pressure from bosses, and work overload.
The second major source was money. Many people feel stress over not having enough money or needing money. Loss of a job, reduced or an inadequate retirement, and medical expenses all add to money stress.
Health is a third on the list. That includes health crisis, terminal illness, and chronic illnesses. This is followed by relationships. You can include arguments with friends, significant others, and loneliness.
And it might surprise some of you that the 5th major cause of stress for people is poor nutrition. This includes inadequate nutrition, caffeine needs, too much sugar, and a myriad of other food-related issues.
Now you know the major causes, and stay tuned because late in the show we'll have more stress relieving tips.
But now it's time for our next segment. Each month, we are thrilled to spotlight an individual school's Teacher of the Year. In this segment entitled A+ Teachers, we take the time to get to know a little bit about the teacher's background and get an understanding of their philosophy of teaching that earned them the school's honor of Teacher of the Year. This morning, we feature Snipes Elementary School Teacher of the Year, Erica Ancutta.
I would say my philosophy towards teaching is to be able to provide all students with a learning environment that is stimulating, feeds their curiosity, and also provides them with the education that's going to help them to reach their full potential, whether or not they are working within learning communities, learning teams, but to just help each child reach their full potential through those ways. We do several things throughout the year to increase parent involvement. A lot of the times we have mini celebrations throughout the year. For example, for Grandparents' Day, we invited the grandparents to come out, read with their grandchild. A couple weeks ago when we were talking about Q&U, we had a Q&U wedding where the parents were invited to come out to see the ceremony, and we also had a reception. I've also helped plan curriculum night with the help of my colleagues, and different things like that throughout the year that we have at night to give parents the opportunity to come out to the school, see what their children are learning about in their classroom, and be able to chat with the teachers as well. In order to stay up to date with all the innovations and changes in technology, we have so many professional developments that we can attend. A lot of the times we have professional developments at our school that we're given, and then also there's so many opportunities to go out into the county or to other places to go for professional development. And then there's always just teacher blogs to be reading and just different articles and literature about education. We are so fortunate to have so much technology now, especially at our school at Snipes Academy. We have iPad carts that we're able to check out for the students to use, and there are just so many new apps that can be downloaded that really help teach the 21st century skills that our learners need that align directly with the Common Core. All of our classrooms also have smart boards, and so for in kindergarten, once the students are able to grasp the idea of how to use the smart board, I'm able to incorporate them using the smart board themselves into different projects for their learning teams. They might be designing a habitat for an animal that we might be studying. They might be illustrating and writing different stories using the smart board, so they're able to learn how to use the smart board and then use that technology as well. We also have scenarios that we're able to use, which instead of for students to take paper pencil tests and quizzes, which can get kind of boring, they're able to take their quizzes and tests through a remote control device. So that makes it a little bit more fun for them, and then you're also able to have those results right away, and you can go over any questions you might need to. I am the product of a family of teachers, and so my mother was a teacher, and I just grew up going to the Take Your Daughter to Work Day, going to her classroom. During the summer when she might work with students, you know, I went with her. And so I'm just that product of the teachers and the family, and that's how I got into education. One of the things that's special about Snipes Academy is that we are an arts integrated school. We are the only elementary school that has dance and drama that the students are able to go to. And one of the unique privileges I was able to go to this summer was the Kennedy Arts Center, where I was able to go to a conference with some of my fellow colleagues as well. And we were able to truly learn how to integrate the arts into our classroom. So many of us think that we're doing it, and I was guilty of that, where we're enhancing the arts in our classroom and in our lessons, but we're not actually fully integrating it. So that was a great conference and just a privilege that I was able to attend that this summer.
A+ Teachers is brought to you by New Hanover County Schools Public Relations Department. The Public Relations Department publishes the monthly e-news parent update. The update is a monthly e-newsletter that reports on current points of interest within NHCS, highlights about new programs, updates on NHCS initiatives, latest advances in academics and instruction systems, system-wide events calendar, and more. You can subscribe to the e-update right off the school system's main webpage at www.nhcs.net.
It's time now for this week's lunch menu. This is the menu of Monday, December 16th through Friday, December 20th.
On Monday, December 16th, start the week off grand by enjoying corn puppies or grilled chicken with noodles. On the side, you may add several appetizing items such as sweet potato waffle fries, garden salad, and mixed fruit.
Then, on December 17th, have a nice school-cooked meal of a meatball hoagie or popcorn chicken with a dinner roll. Whichever you choose, be sure to enjoy the wonderful side items of glazed carrots, garden salad, and fresh fruit.
Wednesday, December 18th, battle your midday hunger by enjoying General Tso's chicken with rice or chicken egg roll. Also on the menu are oriental vegetables, garden salad, applesauce, and jello with topping.
Then on December 19th, your tummy will yell yummy when you choose between the holiday meal, the gobbler, or bread and mozzarella sticks. Complement your entree with mashed potatoes with gravy, garden salad, fresh fruit, and spiced cookie bar.
Finally, on Friday, December 20th, sit down with your friends and enjoying a hot dog with chili or a munchie pack. In addition, savory the flavor of these incredible side items: pasta salad, baked beans, carrot sticks, garden salad, and wonderful chilled peaches. And there you have the lunch menu for this week.
Don't forget, you can also start your day off with a healthy and hearty breakfast at school.
There are over 5,600 endangered animals in the world today. Each of these animals are facing a risk of extinction, yet they all add something unique to our world. There are many different causes which lower animal populations, and each animal has its own story. Today we feature one of these animals, the manatee, on our segment Endangered Animals.
The manatee is a large gray aquatic mammal that primarily lives in shallow, warm tropical waters. The manatee is nicknamed the sea cow because of its fat, round body structure. Manatees migrate with the season. During the winter, they are primarily found in the warmer Florida waters, but during the summer, they can be found in Texas and even as far north as Massachusetts. The manatee is a herbivore and eats mainly seagrass and algae. Manatees are extremely gentle creatures. Though it is illegal to grab one, you are allowed to gently pet them. They are very curious mammals and will swim right up to you and get to know you. For several decades, the manatee has been suffering. In 2011, it was estimated that only about 4,800 manatees lived in the wild. No one knows how many manatees there were in the past. The manatee population declined over the past century, primarily due to hunting. Even though hunting manatees is illegal now, manatees are still being killed by humans unintentionally. Many manatees are run over by passing boats or caught in fish nets. The population of the manatee has not been surveyed until recently, but it is estimated that there has been a slight increase in manatee population over the last few years. This is part due to federal regulations enacted to help preserve the manatee. The Marine Mammal Protection Act of 1972 the Endangered Species Act of 1973, and the Florida Manatee Sanctuary Act of 1978 made it illegal to harass, hunt, capture, or kill any marine mammal. With all these laws and regulations enacted, it helps to ensure the survival and rehabilitation of the manatee species. If people work together and abide by the laws, we can ensure that the manatee population remains on the increase and ensure that the manatees have a bright future ahead of them.
Manatees are so cool. I hope our protection efforts work.
Me too, they're such a gentle animal.
We now have a few more stress relieving tips.
Prank it out. Laughter is an instant cure for stress. There's no limit to how much fun you can have, and people don't have enough. So buy some water balloons, short sheet the beds, play a prank on the kids, and inject some innocent immaturity into your family life. It's healthy.
Here's a tip for dealing with other people. Be friendly and alleviate someone else's stress. Some days, it seems as if everyone has woken up on the wrong side of the bed. To make it even worse, you might be having a bad day. Rather than add to everyone else's stress by commiserating, try and be friendly and cheerful. This will benefit you more than them. In addition, try alleviating the stress of others. Help a coworker who seems burdened or bag groceries for a frazzled clerk. Alleviating the stress of others is a great way to alleviate your own.
And our last tip is one people do not like to be generally told. That is to keep quiet. Though it's generally healthy to get your feelings out, sometimes you'll actually feel better if you keep them quiet. This is not the silent treatment when you're angry. That's not healthy, but sometimes if something is bothering you, it's wise not to react. Wait and act later if necessary. Often, quailing and a knee-jerk reaction will actually boost your confidence and give you greater relief than you'd immediately vented.
We hope these tips have helped and still have a special holiday stress preventing tips later in the show.
Now coming up, we have the Zoo Files and more of your school news here on the morning show. But first, here's a great moment in history, a great moment in music.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Who was president the years 1993 through 2000? He pushed through a deficit reduction plan. He spearheaded the Family and Medical Leave Act. He faced an impeachment hearing. If you guessed Bill Clinton, you're right. He was the 42nd President of the United States. This presidential pop quiz has been brought to you by New Hanover County Schools on the Learning Network, Time Warner Cable Channel 5.
So, you're looking for help with your mortgage. Worried about foreclosure? We can help you keep your house. All we ask for in return is that you submit to our plans for galactic domination. Sign.
If you're facing foreclosure, talk to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE.
Welcome back to the morning show. I'm Rachel Glib. The Zoo Files is a popular segment created by our friends at the NC Zoo in Asheboro. Each episode features a unique behind-the-scenes look at zoo life. New animals arriving at the North Carolina Zoo must go through a waiting period before going on display. Rod Hackney explains the zoo's quarantine policy in today's report from the Zoo Files.
When
Whenever a new animal arrives at the North Carolina Zoo, the public is always intent to learn when they'll be able to see that new critter on exhibit. But the fact is that every new animal coming into the zoo has to go through a series of medical exams and a waiting period of up to 3 months before they can be introduced to their exhibit. Zoo Chief Veterinarian Dr. Mike Loomis tells us about the zoo's animal quarantine program and why it's so important.
The zoo quarantines every animal that comes into the collection, and the primary reason for that is to make sure that we don't introduce disease into the collection. We get animals from lots of different sources, mostly other zoos, but sometimes from the wild, and while the animal's in quarantine, we test the animals to make sure that they don't have any disease that we could potentially transmit to the animals that we already have in our collection. In addition to screening them for diseases, they get used to the diets that they'll have here at the zoo. A lot of times we try to introduce the animals to the keepers that are going to be taking care of the animals. While we have the animal in quarantine, we usually let it settle into a routine, and then we anesthetize the animal and we do a very complete medical workup on it. We try to make sure that they're really healthy animals when they leave quarantine. Occasionally the curators or keepers will request a shortening of the quarantine period, and if we can accommodate that by making sure that the animal is not carrying any infectious diseases that we worry about transmitting to the resident collection, then we try to accommodate those.
While no one is more excited than zoo staff about putting a new animal on exhibit, we first have to be sure that our existing animals are protected. If you'd like to learn more about our animal collections, check out our website at nczoo.org. Reporting for the Zoo Files, I'm Rod Hackney, connecting your life to wildlife.
The North Carolina Zoo near Asheboro is open year-round. For more information, call 1-800-488-0444 or visit the zoo website at www.nczoo.org.
That was another excellent edition of Zoo Files. Thank you, Rod Hackney.
Now let's send it over to the news desk for your school news with Emily Coulter. Good morning, Emily.
Thank you, Haley and Rachel, and welcome everyone to your school news here on the morning show. The 19th annual Sidewalk Chalk Art Competition was held on a beautiful Saturday morning at Mayfair Town Center. The participating high schools each took a corner at the intersection of Pottery Barn and Eddie Bar to create their chalk designs. We get this report from Chase Fulton.
About 35 local high school art students competed in the 19th annual Sidewalk Chalk Art Competition through New Hanover County Schools. The students from Laney, Hoggard, and Ashley High Schools competed to win a place on the coveted chalk art plaque. The contest started as a partnership between the schools and the former Area Arts Council and was held on the riverfront downtown until it moved to Mayfair a few years ago. This year, teams created designs of bold chalk colors that they designed weeks in advance.
The Sidewalk Chalk Art is an opportunity a little bit different from the classroom experience for the students to work together in groups to solve a problem, an artistic problem. So they come up with a design together and then they execute it together. And that's a really different experience from the classroom experience. But it's also a lot of fun to compete between the different high schools.
Student designs are judged on creativity, technique, and how they use the medium. This year, 4 local judges moved from each school station, watching as the lines were drawn and colors were applied and rubbed to perfection. The students' expressions ranged from the works of Dolly to squirrels to mighty lions. Teams had been preparing for weeks and worked diligently for 2 hours to complete their artistic visions.
One of our students, Amanda, she drew it all out, the plans. They printed a lot of copies, and now we're doing it, her plans, and it's awesome.
Also on hand for the event this year was a middle school art class from Murray, who discovered that with sidewalk chalk art, you can literally get your whole body involved in the mural making effort.
Everyone in our schools can come together and just create something. I mean, it doesn't last for all that long. I mean, the rains will wash it away eventually, but just seeing it like on such a grand scale, everything we've planned out, it's just really, really exciting.
Hundreds of people shopping and walking at Mayfair stopped in amazement as the sidewalk creations came to life. Many even returned that morning to see the incredible finished creations. While the fun in the chalk art competition is the good-natured rivalries between schools and the chance to work as a team, the morning still ends with a winner. This year, Ashley High School's 3D work of squirrels collecting nuts for the winter won the contest. Reporting for YSN, this is Chase Fulton.
Karma Maples, the gifted education specialist at Coddington Elementary School, has been named the New Hanover County Schools Outstanding Teacher of the Gifted. Miss Maples has made significant contributions to the field of gifted education, not only in New Hanover County, but also in the region throughout the state. Her many accomplishments range from creating professional development opportunities to mentoring peers to coordinated conference sessions at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, and the North Carolina Association of the Gifted and Talented. Miss Maples will go on to be considered for the North Carolina Teacher of the Gifted on the regional and state levels. Finally, we have the last in our series of reports on student health and well-being. Schools are increasingly seen as a natural entry point for addressing children's mental health needs, and recognition of the importance of sound mental health as an essential support for academic success. Here in New Hanover County, the school system works closely with the health department to offer a unique program in our state that integrated mental health services into the school setting that helps recognize, assess, and treat children's mental health problems. We get the report from Cassie Williamson.
New Hanover County Schools and the New Hanover County Health Department have joined together to provide an additional support service for students and their families. A health department licensed clinical therapist is available to provide mental health services such as evaluation and treatment of children and adolescents with moderate to severe behavioral and emotional problems. School-based mental health services are now available to students and their families in 18 of our schools.
Most of our referrals will come through either the teacher or school administration, so that could be the principal or the vice principal, but we can take referrals directly from the parents as well. So really, anytime that a parent sees that there's something that's just not right, if you see your child starting to act really differently, the way I always word it is if you see your kid and they're not kind of living up to their potential, or it looks like there's something that's getting them in the way of being successful, I think that's where we can kind of step in. The way that it has to work is the parents have to be engaged and they have to want the program. It's a voluntary program. Some of our referrals might come through the counselor, so the school counselor. If they're working with a child and it looks like the problems might be a little bit more serious, or they're going to take a little bit longer time to work on, and sometimes they'll refer them to us.
Many physical and emotional signs may suggest when a child has a mental health problem. Problems can range from serious concern, such as when a child is in danger of harming themselves, to those of a less severe concern, such as a change in eating habits or sleep patterns, or feelings of frustration. Problems which persist over a long period of time should be a red flag that your child is experiencing some difficulties.
The first step that we're going to do is try to figure out what's going on. And so typically that usually happens depending on the age of the child. With younger kids, I think the therapist and the parents kind of start off at first working closely together. And then I think with the older kids, there's a little bit more, the older kids are a little bit more involved. But those first few sessions, we're going to figure out what's going on. Then after that, what normally happens is, like with me, I would get information from the teachers and the people that are directly involved with the child. We would set up a schedule where I'm going to meet with the child for individual therapy. Usually starts off once a week, depending on what's going on, and then hopefully as things get better, you get to reduce the amount of time and the frequency. But there's going to be a constant flow of information that's going back and forth between what I'm doing with the child, the teacher, the parents, and whoever's involved. So it's hard to give a pat answer to say exactly what's going to happen, because it depends on exactly what the issue is and what's going on.
There is no out-of-pocket cost to a family for services received at the school, nor will any child be turned down for inability to pay. If the child has insurance, their insurance will be billed. However, if the child is referred to other services such as psychiatric or community support, there may be a cost. To access this service, parents can simply call their child's school and request to speak with the school-based therapist. The parent and the therapist can have a confidential discussion about any concerns about a child and whether that child would benefit from the service.
We work with all sorts of different families with different things going on, so that may be with foster families, it could be with grandparents or with parents. But really with what we have with the kids that are coming to school, we have a certain part of the day that we have them here as kind of a captive audience, and then they're going to go out into the community or go home. It just makes complete sense for us to have the families involved, and we really have to have the people involved in the school and the people involved at home. So the parents, have to be willing and kind of seeking the service out. And then throughout the treatment process, they've got to be really closely involved with us.
In today's climate, mental health services have become essential to a school's ability to ensure a safe and healthy learning environment for all students. New Hanover County Schools and the Health Department have created an ideal school-based service so that children and youth receive the support they need in seamless, coordinated, and comprehensive system. Reporting for Your School News, this is Cassie Williamson.
That's all for now. Let's head back to our hosts Rachel and Haley for more of the morning show.
Thanks, Emily. We bring our show to a close with tips on how to prevent holiday stress.
While the holidays should be time for relaxation, family, and friends, many may know that's not always the case.
Crowded stores, travel arrangements, cleaning for visitors, planning parties, cooking large meals, and the list can go on and on for extra errands you have to complete during the holidays.
If holiday stress takes its toll on you each year, perhaps these tips will help.
Be realistic. The holidays don't have to be perfect or just like last year. As families change and grow, traditions and rituals often change as well. Choose a few to hold on to and be open to creating new ones. For example, if your adult children can't come to your house, find new ways to celebrate together, such as sharing pictures, emails, or videos.
Stick to a budget. Before you go gift and food shopping, decide how much money you can afford to spend, then stick to your budget. Don't try to buy happiness with an avalanche of gifts.
Set aside differences. Try to accept family members and friends as they are, even if they don't live up to all of your expectations. Set aside grievances until a more appropriate time to discuss. And be understanding if others get upset or distressed when something goes awry. Chances are they're feeling the effects of holiday stress and depression too.
Plan ahead. Set aside specific days for shopping, baking, visiting friends, and other activities. Plan your menus, then make your shopping list. That'll prevent last-minute scrambling to buy forgotten ingredients and help make sure to line up and help for party prep and cleaning up.
Learn to say no. Saying yes when you should say no can leave you feeling resentful and overwhelmed. Friends and colleagues will understand if you can't participate in every project or activity.
Don't abandon healthy habits. Don't let the holidays become a free-for-all. Overindulgence only adds to your stress and guilt. Have a healthy snack before holiday parties so that you don't go overboard on sweets, cheese, or drinks. Continue to get plenty of sleep and physical activity.
Take a breather. Make some time for yourself. Spend just 15 minutes alone without distractions may refresh you enough to handle everything you need to do. Take a walk at night and stargaze, listen to some soothing music, whatever it is, find something that reduces stress for you.
Reach out. If the stress does get to you, let others know. Talking to others is a great stress relief, and many times you can find comfort and help. If you really need it, talk to a doctor or a mental health professional. Don't let stress take over your life.
We hope you have taken these tips to heart and have a peaceful and stress-free holiday season.
And don't forget, you can always relieve stress by relaxing as you watch our enjoyable programs here on NHCS TV.
Well, that does it for this edition of The Morning Show.
For the best TV of all, each and every day, keep it tuned right here for the New Hanover County Schools TV on the Learning Network of the Cape Fear. Have a great day.
And a wonderful week.